Welcome to Movie Friends. My name is Seth. I think a lot of people spend their lives struggling to find their own voice. It's why a lot of us gravitate towards books or movies or music. These things say what we can't find a way to say ourselves. Finding your voice is difficult, but it's necessary if you want to tell stories. Sure, you can mimic the voice or the feel of someone else that inspired you, but at the end of your work, will you be able to say that it was yours? That this is who you are and what you want to share with the world? It's risky, talking with your own voice. Today, we're talking with writer and director Steve Sanders. Michelle and I met Steve back in July at the Stony Brook Film Festival, and his short film, Crab Claw, totally knocked us out. He's working now to develop the short into a feature film titled In Waves. In the short, a couple go for counseling, and they have a pretty unusual predicament. One of them has developed a crab claw for a hand, and it's driving them apart. I'm going to include the link to watch that short in the show notes, so if you're interested, maybe watch that first and then come back and listen, and you'll have a better grasp of what we're talking about during our conversation. It's totally not necessary, but I'll leave it up to you. Hey, are you back? Did you just watch the short? Wasn't that hilarious? All right, well, anyway, here's our conversation with Steve Sanders. We hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, you looked at that. Yeah. Okay. That's so funny.
Well, hey, Steve, thank you so much for joining us. We met you briefly back in July at the Stony Brook Film Festival.
Right, in New York.
Yeah. And where are you at now?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, very cool. What's the temperature there now?
Oh, right now it's hard to tell because we got wind right now, so that's a plus. So we're at 91 degrees today.
No, shut up, please.
Yeah.
With wind, what does that feel like? Is that a cool 90?
That's a cool 90. That's cool 90. We're past the bad 90s for now, but
right.
Cool 90 is 91's a good day for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because before we were having highs of like 100 degrees, you know.
Jeez. Well, God bless you for inhabiting that part of the country. So when we met you, you were there to play your short, Crab Claw.
Yeah.
We had not seen it prior to seeing it with the audience and loved it. It was by far the most absurd short that we saw play at the festival. I can't speak for every short, but it was really amazing. Like being in the room with all these people, and a lot of that crowd, they might skew a little older.
Sure.
And like just feeling the energy go from like what is happening to where they got it.
Yeah.
And then there was like really big laughs and everyone was kind of buzzing talking about it when it ended. What is it like for you to like, go out on a limb with this idea and then get a great reaction like that?
Well, it's a great feeling. It's like one of those things that you wish, the reception, it's the kind of reception you wish you could get for a film, We've been just very lucky. First of all, it's Stony Brook. I thought the same thing. I looked at the crowd. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a bunch of older people here. We premiered at a festival in Mill Valley, and that had an older crowd on its second screening, and it was very like not a whole lot of laughs. Luckily, we had one lady in the audience who kind of carried it for us. She was cracking up the whole time, so I was like, oh, thank God for that lady. At Stony Brook, it's a sea. There's a huge theater, and it's like a sea of all these older folks, and I was like, man, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna hate this. Luckily, they didn't. It had a big pop, when the title reveal came down. I was like, oh, thank goodness. And so everyone was laughing. I felt good. I was like, oh my gosh, I could relax, But the festival reception has been great because when we made it, we had zero festival expectations. Like it's such a silly idea. Yeah. I didn't think it would be received as. In fact, at the first festival, Mill Valley, that's where Conclave played.
Oh, sure.
And in the program, with everyone's like, it's the titles and the thumbnail. It's like Conclave and then Crab Claw. And and it's like that's what it's all about. That's exactly what we want,
That's pretty incredible.
That's so funny. I wanted to ask you when you're coming up with ideas, and especially for Crab Claw, Do you find it easier to express yourself through an absurd premise rather than like an out and out sincere grounded one?
100% for sure. Yeah. There's I grew up watching The Simpsons and a lot of 90s SNL, so it's like absurdism, heightened reality is like that's my bag. And I have a writing partner, Joe Fuentes, and we're very like-minded. And like the way we came up with Crab Claws, I was taking a sketch writing class at a comedy theater in Austin, and I needed a premise, and I was sort of like struggling to come up with something that was funny. And um, just for no reason, out of nowhere, he says, "What if it's a couple and couples therapy?" And the guy's like, "I have a crab claw for a hand." And I was like, that's so funny. Now the difference between me and him, and to kind of answer your question, is like if it were up to him, he would have stayed in the heightened reality world, and everything would have been one absurd beat after another. But I like taking something surreal and then like, now let's treat this like this is real life, and let's have real human emotions, things that I can relate to, things that I can express myself through. And that's kind of where we kind of come together as a team, but that's more my style.
Yeah, it's a nice balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to kind of sometimes you want to go off into like this stratosphere.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, how much would that cost?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I did a short film before Crab Claw called I'm Okay With This. And same writing partner, Joe and I, we wrote it together. That one is about a woman who they're hosting like a dinner party, and right before the dinner party, the husband chokes on a carrot and he dies. And so she weekends at Bernie's him, and people come over, and he's just like, and that one we do. Like we kept thinking, how can we keep this absurd? So at one point we have a pizza that talks. It has like a face on it, and the guy catches on fire at one point, and it's like it all sounds great, but when we did it, like it went no festivals except for like the one here in San Antonio accepted it. It was, and the reception we're getting from a lot of people were like, it's just too many things are happening in this, and none of it are grounded. People can't sink their teeth into it in any kind of capacity because it's just too crazy, So I learned my lesson from that short, and that's how I get my grip.
So you're turning your short into a feature-length film, In Waves.
Yeah.
And you have said that the story is in part about your own experience being a caretaker for your dad.
Yeah.
So what is that like, taking this thing that is like extremely personal and then filtering it through not just a lens for an audience, but this kind of like absurd lens?
Sure. Yeah. It was actually pretty easy. It was kind of like, my style of writing, it was the easiest way for me to express myself. I think at one point I entertained the idea of doing like a one-to-one dramatic piece of some guy taking care of his dad. And it was just like, I was bored to tears, like reading it back. I was like, this is for nobody. So the way that it came about was when I did Crab Claw, I had no intentions of making a feature film. But people were liking the short. And I had one friend, he called me on the phone. It's like, dude, you can do Crab Claw 2, you can do Crab Claw 3, you can do Crab Claw at church, Crab Claw at work, all these different Crab Claw scenarios. And I was like, man, people want more crab. And so I was like, I'll put that, in the back of my mind. And so I was trying to figure out how to tell the story with my dad, where, as a writer, we're taught to write what you know. And when my dad passed away, it wasn't just the fact that he passed away, but it was how he passed away too. And it was me kind of like being the one to find him and then having to call the ambulance. And it was just like this whole situation, and then planning his funeral. If anybody's been down that road, it's an undertaking. And that kind of became like, I felt like it kind of became like my identity for like a whole year. It was like, just thinking about that. So I was like, how can I filter that out? I got to put that into a movie. I got to put that into a script. And so I merged the two ideas together. I was like, what if a guy getting sick is a guy turning into a crab? That was the starting off point. And then I took that to my buddy Joey, and he liked it, and he helped me shape it into kind of like the bare bones of what the script is now. And then we have a third writing partner, Sarah, who's the star of Crab Claw. And between the three of us, we kind of said, like, here's what we want to see in this movie if we're going to do this movie. And yeah, so it's my dad was sort of the jumping off point, but talking with Sarah, talking with Joey, the three of us came up with this whole unique thing, but the heart is still there, you know?
Yeah. I'm sorry for your loss, by the way.
Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate
I
that.
lost my dad at 17, so I'm a member of the Dead Dad Club. So
Yeah, I appreciate that.
it's
Yeah.
rough. It really does like become your identity, and then figuring
Yeah.
out how to work through it. And so,
Mhm.
but okay, so you're writing with Sarah and Joe.
Yeah.
What is the writing process like in a practical way? Are you
Ye-
guys getting together? Are you taking scenes individually, doing passes, meeting
Yeah.
virtually?
We did a lot of on like over the phone stuff, because what's funny is I live in San Antonio, Texas. Sarah lives in Austin, Texas, which is an hour north of me, and Joe lives in Harlingen, Texas, which is 3 to 4 hours south of me. So we're all in three different places, and Joey comes up here a lot. I go to Austin a lot. So there's times where we do get together, but the first initial was like all over the phone, and that's just kind of how we came up with an outline. And Joey and I have been writing screenplays for many years. And the one thing between us is we're kind of perfectionists. So we would get to like page 75, page 80, and then we like, you know what, this sucks. Let's not even continue.
No.
Yeah, so we had this running joke. It's like, dude, we've never finished a script together. We have all these unfinished scripts where we stop at page 80 or 90, like right before the end. We're just like, you know what? And they're just such perfectionists. So it's like, when we brought Sarah in, Sarah is a very organized person, and she's very much like, we're going to get it done. And so what we did is we let her take the first pass. After we made the outline together, she's like, I'm just going to write the first draft. And she did it like in like a couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a rough draft, but like it was done, you know? And so then Joey and I would take it. So we would split it. She would do one pass it to me and Joey, and we would write the whole thing as a rewrite. Then we would have a conversation, and then like make notes, and then Sarah, me, and then like it would ping pong back and forth between each other until we went to the table read. We hosted a table read with some actors, like, okay, we have to hear this out loud. Like, does this even work? And the table read was one of the best table reads I've been a part of. The reception was really, really great. We got a lot of great notes, great feedback. And Sarah's takeaway was, you know, because she's going to act in it, she's like, she needed to take a step away from the material for a second and let me and Joey, as the directors, let us do kind of like the final pass on it. And so that's what we did, and that's the form that it's in now, and everyone's read it, and it's really great. So yeah, that was our process. It was like ping pong, back and forth. We probably met up in person maybe just like 3 or 4 times over the course of like 6 months. Yeah.
When you guys are on the phone, who's like actually doing the writing, like the note part? Because I'm always so curious. Like, is it Google Doc? Are you guys typing at the same time? Yeah.
Sarah she lives and dies by Google Docs. So like, I'll have it open because she sends me the link, and I'm adding to it, but I see her initials and all these things are writing, you know. So like, Sarah is our stenographer, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious. You have all these unfinished
scripts.
Is that just dead to you? Like, is it you're past it?
Some of it is because we would have conversations like, hey, would revisit this, but we were different people when we wrote it, and the world's a different place now. Like, some of the stuff we were like, one thing that Joey's really good at is he's a really thematic person, and he's really heavily involved. Like, has a huge interest in politics, so he'll infuse these things into the scripts in very subtle ways. And as we've changed as people and the world has changed, sometimes it's like, is that even relevant anymore? Do we even care about that? You know,
a lot of Enron jokes.
Enron jokes, yeah. Yeah, it's like, yeah. I mean, God, I don't think there's anything we've written that we gave up on that we miss. It's really been moving forward. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like I don't know. Like, that's so heartbreaking to me. Like,
yeah.
But
I will say, from my perspective, you know, again, going back to the whole like, write what you know, I felt like anything I was contributing to these scripts this whole time was just like jokes and humor. But it wasn't until my dad passed away where it was the first time I felt like, man, I really have something to say as a writer. And that feeling that I had of that strong connection and how it shaped the script into what I would think is the best thing we've ever written, I wouldn't want to write another script unless I felt as strongly, you know? So it's like all the stuff we wrote before, I have there's no personal connection to that stuff. It's really just like, oh, that'd be a funny thing to see, but there's no lived experience in any of it.
Yeah, it was like writing practices.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I also I've tried to put a finger on it, especially in the last few years, of why do I express myself through these kind of absurd lanes? And I mean, I'm similar to you. You know, I grew up. We weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons, but I was very aware of it, and I gravitated towards all that stuff. And Saturday Night Live for sure. You know, and my favorite stuff was always, you know, it's not just people sitting there talking and being funny. It's the crazy, you know, nutso stuff. So I've tried to put a finger on, like, why is it that when something really serious happens, like, I go to that kind of place? I don't know. Have you done that much reflecting? do you have an answer for me or you?
I think I've always heard, especially like on Instagram, I see all these memes where people make jokes of like, you know, there's so much therapy that people need, but like sometimes their form of coping is just by making dark jokes, you know? And I think to an extension that goes with writing. It's an easier way to digest the information. You know, especially when it comes to writing or watching a movie that's like so serious. I try to think about like my favorite movies of all time, the ones I want to rewatch, and very little of them are heavy dramas, you know, like emotional stuff. So I'm like, oh, so there's like an entertainment factor there too. Like the audience, like I think there's people who are going to want to see our movie just because there's there's like a crab in the movie, not knowing they're coming to this with like these themes that we're burying in the sand, so to speak. So that's our hope, is like you see a woman with a crab and it's like, okay, that sounds interesting, but little do you know we have, you know, real feelings behind everything, you know?
Yeah, I always I've been to a lot of funerals in my life, and I've found that, like, you know, you walk in and it's very somber and very serious, but eventually by the end, maybe not everybody, but you're laughing and talking and you're remembering. And so for me, like, I just have this knee-jerk reaction of like, well, let's get to that now. What is the fastest and smoothest route to get everyone back laughing?
Right. Yeah. No, it's funny you say that, because, you know, when my dad passed away, there was definitely a moment where we had to wait for like the coroner to come or the medical examiner, like all the people have to shuffle in and out to make the process, you know, happen. And there definitely was a weird time where like we started cracking jokes, not like, you know, like hijinks kind of thing, but it was just like, you know, someone would say something, it was like, oh, that reminded me of this, and like suddenly we were all laughing, and it's like, it's literally, it just happened, you know. And so it was a surreal, that's kind of why I was like, this is like good for this movie, because surrealism, you know, is such a factor in this. And it just goes hand in hand.
You said, you know, you've been writing for a long time.
Yeah.
How did you go from a person who's, you know, I'm watching TV, I'm watching movies, to someone who's like, I'm going to make movies?
Yeah. I always say this is kind of like a curse for me, because it happened to me very young. I think I was 3 years old, and I had watched.
Whoa.
Yeah, I watched Terminator 2. Was the first movie. I had seen movies before, but Terminator 2 was the first one I could remember seeing, and it just like had this huge impact on me. Like Terminator 2 is like my identity as like a 3-year-old, and and I like, there's family videotapes we've seen, and I'm just making Terminator 2 like references and lines, and then
you're giving thumbs up a lot.
Yeah. Like, anytime I took a bath as a kid, I'm like, you know, like, and so I didn't know how to make a movie, I didn't know that there was directors or writers. I just knew Arnold Schwarzenegger made movies. That's all I knew. So I knew that was a way to get them made. And that's all I kept saying as a kid. I was like, I want to make movies. And so that's why I say it was a curse, because I had to like grow up, and I was like, I remember being like 7 years old and like, oh, I'm I'm still just 7, you know. But I've wanted it since I was so young, and it kind of like my friends I remember thought I was a little weird because like they wanted to like watch, let's watch Transformers, and I'm like, okay, but Munich is also in theaters right now, I was like, that's some pretty good stuff there. So
right.
How did you land on wanting to write? Because getting into movies, I mean, that's such a grand scope.
Yeah.
You can act and direct, produce.
Sure. I think wanting to write, this doesn't sound like a corny answer, but it's actually Quentin Tarantino. I watched or read an interview he had done where he was talking about he gets to make the movies he wants to make because he writes them, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that, because up to that point I think I was just like focusing on Scorsese, who's just like a movie director, like he's written a couple things, but he's mostly a movie director. So I was like, that's gonna be my path, and I'm gonna find some great writer to team up with, and I'm gonna direct. But after reading what Tarantino had said, I was like, okay, I think that's the route. I have all these ideas, so I have to be the writer.
So you're young, you're Terminatoring, you're figuring out from different filmmakers.
Yeah.
Is your family into this?
Yeah, my family has been very supportive of me. We never went into like a deep dive conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if for many years they just thought it was like a weird interest of mine. But it wasn't until I was getting, I think, 17, and when it was time to look at colleges, I was just looking at film schools. I think it was the first time they were like, okay, he's really serious about this. And then when I was 18, I went to a film school. It was like very much like a technical school. It's not like one of the most prestigious ones, but it's in LA. I hopped on a bus, and I think all I had in my pocket was like $80, and I had school loans waiting for me. So like there was money to come, but I had to wait like weeks, and my grandpa helped me pay for my first apartment. I couldn't afford to go look at it. I just found it online. I'm like, I'll get that apartment. I don't know. And
wow.
Wow.
So my dad's girlfriend bought me a bus ticket. My mom gave me $80 because all she had, and so I went on a bus by myself to LA. And I remember a lot of people are like, oh, if you look like a tourist, you might get mugged. So at the time there was MapQuest, and I had mapped out from the bus stop to my apartment, and I like studied the MapQuest like if it was an exam. So when I got off the bus, I just knew the sidewalk names. I just knew where to get. Yeah. So
I love the idea of like two thugs in a car. Like, look at that kid.
Yeah.
Reading MapQuest
directions.
Get him.
Yeah. That's why I had it memorized, so I didn't have to do that. So like, oh, that kid seems to know where he's going. Never mind. Next one. Yeah.
Still, that's impressive, of memorizing directions of a place you've never gone to.
Right. Yeah. Especially like the biggest city and one of the biggest cities in the world too. It's like,
yeah, it's like scary. Literally $1 in a dream. It's your journey there.
So did you finish school? Did you do it? Like
I went to film school. At the time, the school has changed from my understanding. At the time, it was just like it's one of those like 1-year programs, but it was like very immersive. There was like no breaks. There was no what do you call it? Like it wasn't like an accredited school. There was no like it wasn't in college. You didn't take basics. You just took film school classes. And I did it. It was a 1-year program. I graduated. I met some really cool people along the way. I met my best friend there at film school. Nice. And it was funny because I was told later that some people kind of like made fun of me behind my back. But the first thing we do is we do this orientation, and they say, stand up, say your name, where you're from, and what your favorite movie is. And everyone was standing up and saying like Citizen Kane and this like the 400 Blows, and I stood up like Terminator 2. And, it was like the least artsy fartsy movie that you could think of, but it was the truth, And so I remember somebody told me later that, oh yeah, they were like Terminator 2,
Right. It's tough. I feel the opposite because like my favorite movie of all time is The Passion of Joan of Arc, right? Which is like, that's a good film school answer, but it genuinely is. And I feel the opposite. I feel like I need to have like a cooler answer. Like I need to be like, Mad Max Fury Road. Actually, Mad Max 2. Actually, that one.
Road Warrior.
The better one. Yeah. Because I just feel like an idiot saying
No, it's funny you say it because my buddy Joey, a writer on this, Passion of Joan of Arc is one of his favorite movies.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and he's very much like he hates wides, he hates like long lens. He's like, it's got to be close up, like Passion of the Joan of Arc. It's all close ups.
Yes, yeah, it's a good reference point. Michelle refuses to watch it. I've tried. She says
lies. When I have to watch it for the show, I will.
Yes, that's right. Oh, I don't even know. I would be too nervous to cover that. That's like
a holy grail. It's like a holy grail for you.
Yeah, in a way.
Like too sacred to talk about.
There's 4 movies that I have watched immediately after watching them the first time. The first one was Gus Van Sant's Elephant. As soon as that finished, pressed play on it again. Wow. The second was Capote, starring Philip Seymour Hoffman. Watched that back to back by myself. Oh. The third was Passion of Joan of Arc, and the fourth was Jennifer's Body. I don't know if you've ever seen Jennifer's Body.
I've seen Jennifer's Body. That's interesting. I was like, oh wow, the trajectory of the art that you're like. Jennifer's Body is art, too, but it's like,
oh my god, it's one of the best. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about, we're in this very interesting time in filmmaking, right? Mm-hmm. Technology has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller and more accessible, cheaper. Equipment is available to us in a way that it never has been before. Yeah. Like, the medium's, what are we now? 100, 130 years old. Yeah. And we're in a really great time. But even though, you have the drive and you have the skills and you have the know-how, you might not necessarily have the money, right?
Right.
I'm curious for you, like you're putting your own personal painful experience into the writing, putting yourself on the line, making this movie, which is it's a big swing.
Yeah.
But is the money still the hardest part of doing this?
Yeah. It is right now because that's the phase that we're in. And it's, we're actively raising money as I'm speaking to you, and I can say with total confidence, it's the hardest thing I've had to do. It's, the film that we're writing has a crab in it as like a central character. And and the question was asked early on, okay, before we dive deep into this, are we going to get a real crab? Is it going to be a CGI crab? And we have a friend, Joey and I went to school with his name's David Amaral, and David Amaral, just as one of his hobbies, he got into robotics and crafts and things like that. And so we asked him, could you make this crab? Can you make a crab for us, like a puppet crab? And that same afternoon we asked him, he sent us a photo later that he had already went to the garage and got he just made some sticks move. And he's like, I think the mechanism can be like this. And I was like, wow.
I need that guy's number.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Wow.
And it was amazing, getting the photos. It's what I would have, if a close friend was like, hey, I'm pregnant, I'm having a baby. And the progress photos, it was that. Right. It's like, whoa, this crab is growing. Look how beautiful, right. And sure enough, now it's a fully functional crab. And that was originally what we thought was going to be the hardest part. But wow, it's solved, and he's our friend. He did it for us. We haven't technically paid him anything. So, and that's what the Kickstarter is for. Is we're getting money to pay our crew. And this is a hard part. We talked early on of is this even the right time in the economy to be asking people? And I think the answer we settled on was there's never going to be a right time, And so it's if we believe in this project, which we do, it's now or never. And let's just rip the Band-Aid off. And making content for social, reaching out to people that we haven't spoken to in 10 plus years, going through all our email list contacts, all our huge network is been a huge undertaking. And sometimes people say they'll, make a pledge and then they'll forget. And then you have to do the painful, let me remind them without sounding desperate and needy.
Right.
Just we're halfway through, and I never want to do this again. I'll make $500 movies after this one if that's what it takes, because this is it's been too hard.
Yeah. It's it is tough. It's very tough, but I always think of it like, well, think about if you're on the other side of it. Someone asks you, either say yes or no.
Yeah.
You don't then like hate that person,
right?
You know, but it's like it's just an interesting obstacle that we face, but also like an opportunity. You know, back in the day, you couldn't reach out to 500 people and they all contribute $10.
Right.
So you'd have to be like, you know, I need to find one person and then they're going to have all this say in it. And so I guess that would be kind of like a follow-up question for you is like, this might sound like a leading question, but I don't intend for it to be, but like now you get this money and it's not just one person, you know, it's all these different people. So like, what does that do to your sense of like responsibility or duty to like the movie?
Yeah. I'd say that's kind of like twofold a little bit, because the first kind of time where that question entered our heads was, you know, we were, I think, like a week into our Kickstarter campaign, and you can kind of see like where like the data is going. It's like, okay, we're starting to, you know, hit a plateau, and it's like, should we consider, you know, if we can't get more people to pledge and, you know, bring money into this, do we give up at a certain point? Like, you know, so nobody loses money or anything like that. But then we got to a point where enough people had pledged where it's like, man, we have a duty to those people now, because those people were pledging $10-$20 with, you know, this enthusiasm, like saying, I'm doing this because I want to see this movie. I'm doing this because I believe in you guys. And so it's like, well, we have a duty to those people. And so now we're so further along where it's like, if, you know, once we're successful and we have the money to make the movie, it's like the cast and crew that we've already accumulated, like we have a duty to them too, because they've all been attached or joined the team because they believe in the script, they believe in what we're saying. So it's like we have a duty to the team that we're a part of and the people who are pledging their money. And it does feel like this thing, like it's like you can't put the cat back in the bag. It's like we're on this journey and we have to see it through.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Great answer.
Well, I think our last question, he kind of
Yeah, it was about the crab, the practical. Like choosing to go practical.
Yeah.
Is just so exciting.
Yeah.
It's just so exciting.
It's definitely something that a lot of people was a selling point for some people, because you know they're you know, some people read our script and like, I like what I'm reading, but how are you going to do this crap? And we were just like, boom, we would send them a photo or a video of like already done, and they were like, I can't, this is amazing, you know, like In fact, we did a photo shoot with the cast we currently have. We brought the crab there so they could take photos with the crab, and a lot of people were having this like, because the crab it's not real and it's lifeless. And a lot of people were having this like weird emotional response to it. They're like, oh, look at him, you know, like, can I hold him? And they were fragile with it. I'm like, wait a minute, he's not real, you know. But like they believed it was. And so I was like, man, that's what we want. That's the only way for this to work, is you got to believe not only is that a real crab, but the question is in the script too, is like, is the guy who turns to the crab, is he still in there? You know, it's like there's a crab out of his soul. So that was an important thing for us.
Well, I can tell you, I've seen, I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but I saw a little bit of it moving, and I was just instantly attracted and interested. And, you know, we are very unfortunately in this period of, you know, generative AI where like there's just nothing there. And even prior to that, you know, on our show, we're huge fans of anything practical effect. And you know, what I find is I can watch a movie that's all CGI that's showing me galaxies and, you know, just the whole, from corner to corner, the screen is filled with hard work. But I just sit there and I sit through it because it's not really there. But then you watch E.T. and you're locked in, you know, like you're like, oh, wow, like look at it move. And you have the question of how. And so now there's, you know, there's a little bit of curiosity there. where with CGI there is no question of how. You know how. A computer.
Yeah.
The answer is a computer. And
Yeah.
what we're finding is it's not a very fun answer. So
yeah.
yeah.
Right. And even though the crab isn't real, it is real though.
Yeah. It is because
you can touch it.
Oh, you can touch it. Right.
Like I can imagine if I met the crab, I also would have an emotional response.
Yeah.
I would want to take a picture with the crab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what's funny is during that same photo shoot, a lot of people had this weird instinct that when they were holding the crab, they were holding it kind of like a hamburger, and they all had this different instinct to like, I kind of want to take a bite of him too, you know, like he's so cute. I just want to like,
so cute,
you know. And going back to ET, that was actually, you know, when we were talking early on, at one point I was an advocate for like, you know what, we might have to get a real crab, just for like, because we had some shots in the script. It's like some ideas of where the crab needs to go from point A to point B. And it's like, I know we're gonna have a real crab for like most of the movie in like a very idle position, but what about when it's moving? You know, like maybe that's when we should get a real crab. You know, I just don't know if people would believe it. You know, that was like one of my concerns. And our writing partner, Joe, was like, he brought up ET as a perfect example. He's like, you know, if you really look at the alien under scrutiny, you can tell it's a costume, you know, it's you know, practical effects, but you believe and you have this huge emotional response to it, and everyone cries when they watch ET, especially when he's like, you know, getting sick and he's dying in the movie and he says goodbye at the end. It's like totally believe that is a real person, that's a real creature, you know.
Yes.
And so it's like that was like the convincing argument. It's like, yeah, like no matter how, you know, rough the puppet might look, you know, it's like that's not a real crab, but it's like because people, you know, the ET method, that's what that was the whole approach.
Yeah. I think obviously, you know, you want to do your job, you want to do the best that you can do to create an environment where people buy in. But as someone who loves a lot of really stupid stuff and zany stuff, I think that the audience, they either buy it or they don't. And if they don't, you kind of just have to be like, well, not for you, man.
Not for you. Right.
All right. So very quickly, we have just a few questions.
Yeah.
This is our lightning round.
Oh, love it.
That I think we're calling the Thunder Round. Is that what
Thunder Round.
The Thunder Dome? The Thunder Sphere, maybe?
Thunder.
Yeah.
The third Mad Max reference. Like,
that's right.
We went for
Okay, so what is your ideal movie viewing situation? Are you at home? Are you in the theater? Where are you sitting? What are you snacking on?
Yeah, ideal movie watching situation is at the theater, first or second row of like the of the mid tier level, not the very front, and like middle seat. Yeah. And then what I'm snacking on, I don't know if y'all have. I think there's one in New York, but here in Texas we have the Alamo Drafthouse. I'm sure you're familiar with the Alamo Drafthouse.
Yeah.
That's my favorite movie theater to go to, and the food they have there, it's not just your normal movie theater snacks. So I love to get their. They have this buffalo cauliflower snack, and it's really good. So buffalo cauliflower with vegan ranch and some French fries.
Ooh, very nice, very good.
My mouth is watering.
I should have a stronger reaction to that than the crab stuff.
Yes.
No. What's the movie you have seen most in your life?
Ooh, it would have to be Terminator 2. That's definitely, it's like a must, at least once a year viewing of that movie. But I've seen it as a kid. I probably was multiple times a year. So,
all right, and then lastly, what movie do you wish more people had seen?
Ooh, my first answer is Jackie Brown.
Oh, very interesting.
I feel like a lot of people probably now have seen it, but I know there was a good chunk of time where I felt like it was his most underwatched movie, and I found myself in a position where I was meeting people who'd never seen it before, and I was well, we got to watch that movie then. You know, and they'd be like, "I love this movie. When did this come out? I didn't know he made this." You know, because it was overshadowed by Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill. It's in the middle. You know, so I'd say Jackie Brown.
Wow, very good. Yeah, I think in a lot of ways it's close to his best because he kind of throws out a lot of his signature stuff, and it's like, hey, I can just make a movie. I don't have to be this person and this personality. But definitely in my first watch through of all of his movies, I was like, I don't like this movie. This is boring.
Yeah.
And now I watch it and I'm like, oh my God, Jackie Brown features the most romantic on-screen kiss that you've ever seen.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. It's the perfect build-up to that moment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Love that movie.
Well, hey, Steve, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you all for having me. It was I love talking to y'all.
Thank you so much to Steve for talking with us. If you're interested in helping fund their Kickstarter, there will also be a link for that in the show notes. Until next time, thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Theme music by Jean Marie Vargas. Visit us at our website, moviefriendspodcast.com, and please subscribe and rate our show wherever you are listening. You can support Movie Friends at patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Thanks for listening.